Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday service of Now Creations. It's always good to remind you right at the very beginning that the most important energy, greatest life force of all, is the presence within you. That part of you that has not left your source. May you be in spirit today, all this week, and next week, and certainly throughout the year. Just a couple of reminders. If you're able to join us, we'll be having What is Light Body this evening from 7 to 8:30. Always a powerful teaching. And then for Christmas, both Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, let me just remind you to access our programs. Please go to the website and click on Holiday Meetings. Holiday Meetings. For Tuesday, Christmas Eve, you'll need a download. Everything is right there online. And then we'll have a Christmas service at 10 o'clock, as well as the meditation on Christmas Day night at 7. Please join us as you're able to do so. Let's begin. My dear friends, our continuing journey into greater spiritual expansion is quite elevating for so many of us. While the external world always offers certain things that are new and attractive, what so many of us have found is that our spiritual internal world has an expansion and an elevation that is far exceeding things on the outside. This internal expansion has been an undeniable surprise for so many of us. We no longer seek what is new outside of us because we feel new every day from inside of ourselves. As Paramahansa Yogananda's guidance is proving true in our own personal lives when he says, the Spirit will guide you every day to what is fresh and new. We're experiencing that, what is fresh and new within ourselves every day. We are vibrant testimonies to this truth. It was precisely in this energy that the topic of today's teaching arose. In our terrific class on Eastern wisdom on Friday mornings, wherein we study the wonderful book of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, The Science of Being and the Art of Living, we studied a very interesting philosophical question a week ago. The question was, why did our Creator create? After it was concluded that the Creator created to expand its happiness, the question then clearly arose for us. Why do we create? Specifically, why do you create? Why do you do the things that you do? And why? Why? It is precisely the answer to this question of why you create that is the topic of today's teaching. The teaching is entitled The Bigger Picture. The Bigger Picture. We will begin with a general statement, then address the notion of creation from the vantage point of the 4 stages of soul growth of Tony Stubbs, throw in a little Hinduism, and then conclude with our emphasis on the practical aspects of conscious creation. This will be fun and perhaps a challenge to you on why do you create anything? I encourage you to take a few notes. Let's begin with a good general statement before we delve into the creations of specific souls. So why does anyone create? Why does anyone create, from going to school for an education to baking a cake? I think that the following statement is quite accurate. You create the things you do. You create the things you do because you are self-motivated and goal-directed. Your creations are the things you deem necessary to be successful. You're self-motivated, you're goal-directed, and you do the things you do because you deem them to be successful statements in your life. As I said, I think that this is a true dictum. We create. We do the things we do because we do deem them necessary for a successful life. In a nutshell, I think we do the things we do to be happy. No less the reason why our Creator created us. Now the question arises, however, why do certain people do certain things, and then why do other people do other things? Why do some create this way and others create in that way? The answer, I think, is clearly understood when we can combine a little Hinduism with the work of the soul growth of Tony Stubbs. Hinduism, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful philosophy, basically teaches that there are only two paths in life, just two paths people take. The first, the path of desire, and the second, the path of renunciation. I'll repeat that. The path of desire and the path of renunciation. This teaching fits in nicely with Tony Stubbs' teaching on soul maturity. Let's be more specific. Tony Stubbs divides the maturity of souls into four groups: baby souls and young souls, which pertain to the Hindu path of desire, and then mature and old souls that pertain to the Hindu path of renunciation. Yes, I'll repeat this again. Tony Stubbs divides the maturity of souls into four groups: baby and young souls who are on the path of desire, and mature and older souls who are on the path of renunciation. Let's be more specific now. Baby and young souls are primarily concerned with the mundane pleasures of life. They create what they create so that they will be successful in the world. We've all done that. We've all been baby and young souls, not only in this lifetime, but certainly in other lifetimes. We have all been those baby and young souls, primarily who are on the path of desire. But we also have been subject to the newness of being here on the earth line. We have been new here on the earth line. Thus, each one of us, even in this lifetime, we have been interested in pursuing and acquiring money, relationships, and wealth, and fame, and power, and higher standards of living, and prestige, and security. As baby and young souls, this is why we created what we did. And we did this lifetime after lifetime until we began to look for something a little more. This is not to say that there are many things on the path of desire that are very important things, as we know in this lifetime, such as establishing loving relationships and responsibly fulfilling them, such as having a secure feeling about the way you relate to the world and having a few extra bucks for a rainy day fund. Yet although we fulfilled our desires time and time again, for us, For those of us on a spiritual path, we have begun to emerge with a new, higher standard of success. We seemed to yearn for something much more than just the same old worldly stuff that never seemed to change. But oftentimes, even when we yearned for that, we would just fall back, get lost again in our creations. Of course, no one could tell us what to do. We were in charge, or seemingly so. And of course, we had to figure it out for ourselves. But eventually, that time came for all of us. We seem now to have deeper reasons of doing what we do and why we do it. For what had begun to emerge in the lives of each one of us is a bigger picture of life. Let's now return for a moment to Hinduism and Tony Stubbs. Beyond the first path of Hinduism, the path of desire, lies a second path. The second path is called the path of renunciation. In a nutshell, the path of renunciation simply renounces the things outside of ourselves as a way to fulfillment. And in its place, it begins to look within the individual to find meaning and fulfillment of life. It renounces trying to find success on the outside to looking for success on the inside. While this inward looking also takes many, many lifetimes, its goal, our goal, is to experience liberation or enlightenment, as we call it. The Hindu word is moksha, M-O-K-S-H-A, liberating ourselves from the imprisonment of external things and growing in the inner light of the God Spirit within. Wouldn't you say this is exactly what you have been doing? Liberating yourself from too much attention outside of yourself and growing more and more to appreciate that light within yourself. As you might now be expecting, this is what Tony Stubbs calls the domain of mature and old souls. Such mature and old souls are no longer bedazzled by the things of the world. They have moved beyond the path of desire, and instead, they now look inward to find meaning and purpose. We call such people bigger picture people. You are a bigger picture person. You are a bigger picture soul. You are no longer bedazzled by the world. Appreciating things? Of course. Bedazzled? No. You are no longer a baby or a young soul. You no longer seek fulfillment in things. Rather, would you not say you have turned inward and you are finding the bigger picture within yourself? Would you not say that's true? You've learned to turn inward and find that bigger picture within yourself. You have come to realize that there is not only a bigger picture within yourself, but also, listen well, you are a participant in the bigger picture of life itself. You have become a mature, an old soul after years of growth. Through all of the lifetimes of separation energy, there is now in you a bigger picture. There is now in you a bigger picture. That bigger picture you has come to the fore in your life. And you like it. And you like it more and more and more. You are even moving to understanding that you are not only the agent of your own bigger picture, but you are beginning to understand that you are the agent of the larger, divine, bigger picture. There is something now irreversibly created in you, and you understand the fact that you are what God is doing. You get that because you have not left your source. You know that from the inside. Finally, you're beginning to see yourself as a conscious extension of the God energy. And you're delighting in the fact that you know who you are and are extending this energy. I would like to say that you're experiencing the substance of your life, the substance of your life, which is your conscious God spirit energy. You are indeed a maturing old soul. It is precisely to this bigger picture you that I will now turn. I will begin with comments from two members of Now Creations, which are quite inspirational, and then practically deal with three areas of life that show the bigger picture. First, the two comments from members of Now Creations. The first one occurred at one of our recent weekend enrichment meetings. At the meeting, I asked the following question: what is it at this stage in your life that you are most equipped to accomplish? Let me just say it again. What is it at this stage in your life do you feel that you are most equipped to accomplish? It's a good question to ask yourself. What is it at this stage in your life that you are most equipped to accomplish? I personally ask myself that question on a regular basis. What am I presently most equipped to accomplish? Our members at the meeting gave several wonderful responses, but the one that so very much inspired me was what one of our members said. She said, what I am most equipped to fully accomplish in my present life, what I am most equipped to presently accomplish in my life is that I am an aware, eternal soul spirit. She said, what I'm most equipped to accomplish is that I am an aware, I'm a conscious, eternal soul spirit. I have moved beyond identifying myself as a limited human being. And I clearly see and now experience myself as a conscious, eternal soul spirit. Well, it took my breath away. Took my breath away. Do you not understand how inspirational this comment is? she has made the big shift, the big shift in identity from seeing herself as that limited human being, and now identifies herself as a very conscious, eternal soul, spirit. Again, just listen to the question that I asked her in her response. What I now see myself fully equipped to accomplish is that I am that conscious, eternal soul spirit. But there was more to her response. She then said, my life is now reflecting this shift. Oh boy. My life is now reflecting this shift. She proceeded to explain how her identity shift is guiding her in life now in two ways. First, she said, I no longer am getting entangled in the dramas of my life, either my own or in the dramas of others. Although, as she mentioned, this takes time and attention to disengage from the dramas. And then secondly, she said she's now paying more attention and giving more time to her spiritual practices, for she understands that those are the things that sustain and expand her conscious, eternal soul, spirit, self. Well, again, you can see how absolutely inspirational her response was. She obviously has become a bigger picture soul, not just a bigger picture person, but a bigger picture soul, spirit. The second response from one of our members came later in the week. I was explaining a rather detailed but abstract concept, and she said the following, I clearly understand what you mean, Vince. And then she added these words, we aren't spiritual rookies anymore. We aren't spiritual rookies anymore. It was quite clear to me that she too not only understood the concept, but also that she too is now a bigger picture soul, a mature, older soul who is no longer in the lower identity of that limited human aspect of herself, but now one who has elevated herself into that conscious, eternal soul spirit. Such an advance into viewing life from the bigger picture, This is the goal of Now Creations. Our goal is to assist each one of you to come to understand the bigger picture of life, to move beyond your limited human personality identity and come to know yourself as a conscious, eternal soul spirit. This is our goal. Nothing else but this, to help you know yourself. Presuming that we are doing this, presuming that we are moving into bigger picture souls, let us now address three things that clearly identify ourselves as such. First, as a mature, older soul, we will clearly continue to take care of all of the responsibilities in our daily living. We will continue to be responsible in our relationships. We will be responsible to put the proverbial food on the table. We will continue to be supportive, compassionate, and uplifting to the people in our lives. But with this difference, we will now fulfill such worldly responsibilities even better. In fact, we will fulfill our worldly responsibilities much better because we will be fulfilling them from a much better place within ourselves. As we turn within, we fulfill better that which is outside of ourselves. We will now fulfill our responsibilities from our elevated soul spirit rather than from that limited human personality self that got ticked off at times. Many of you are already experiencing this bigger picture you as you are responding much more kindly and lovingly to your daily responsibilities. And your response has been noted by the people in your life. You're different in the way you approach them, and they appreciate the higher energy you bring to them. Your bigger picture self is showing them what is possible for themselves. Never underestimate the quality of your example. Second, besides the aforementioned daily meeting of our responsibilities, there is a newer, better aspect of your internal awareness. A new, better aspect of your internal awareness. Let me explain. You have begun to realize that you now have a spiritual center in your life, that you really are a spiritually conscious being. Whether you call it your sacred heart or the God consciousness within you, you do feel that the love of God is at the very center of your life. Would you not honestly say that? That the love of God is at the very center of my life. You do feel that you are the love of God in human form. You do feel that you are what God is doing here on the planet. You do feel that you are a conscious extension of the God energy. And you do feel that what you are doing with the intention of ushering in the kingdom of God. You have come to a bigger picture of yourself and a bigger picture of what you're doing. In your everyday responsibilities are the place where your bigger picture is developed. Your everyday responsibilities is the place where your bigger picture is being developed. As our member said, you are now reflecting the bigger picture, and you like it. No more drama. No more baby and young souls for you. You are now in service of the bigger picture and enjoying your bigger picture role in it. You're doing this. There is a third component. The third component looks outside of you once you have looked inside of you, but in an entirely different way. You are now experiencing this external vision in two ways. First, you are beginning to realize that the earth itself is part of a larger cosmic whole. I'll repeat that. You're beginning to realize that the earth itself is part of a larger cosmic whole. You're beginning to look beyond the earth to better understand its place in our solar system, in our galaxy, and in our universe. You are no longer earthbound. You are no longer earthbound. You have expanded your horizons, and you realize that the earth itself is part of a bigger picture. And you're happy to play your role on the earth as its part in a bigger picture. And secondly, so very important, you have expanded your vision beyond simply physical life. Part of the bigger you now is that you see yourself as a conscious, eternal soul spirit. And you realize that your conscious soul spirit is itself non-physical. And thus, it will continue to be you when you leave the earth and your physical body. What you will be non-physically will still be you, a conscious, eternal soul spirit, manifesting here on the earth plane for a while, and then beyond as well. This is the biggest picture. In conclusion, you realize that there are many levels of consciousness, from baby souls to young souls to mature to old souls. But more importantly, you realize that you are becoming a mature, older soul. We call it a fifth dimensional being because, well, you've come to know yourself as a conscious, eternal soul spirit. As such, you know who you are and you know what you're doing. You have the bigger picture, as well as all of the little snapshots. And yes, indeed, we are viewing them together. Let me now take you into meditation, and what a joy it is to do so. Blinders. Blinders. Myopic vision. Provincialism. Narrow-mindedness. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. We've been through them all. We've been through them all. But isn't that the point? We have been through them all. They no longer identify us. Used to. Used to. Not anymore. We have beautifully matured into an older soul view of life. Oh, yes, still maturing, but very clearly on this path. Its foundation is exactly what one of our members of Now Creation stated. I've made the shift. I've made the shift. I understand that I am a conscious, eternal soul spirit. And it is from this identity that I now see the bigger picture in my own life. Do you want to know how you're really doing spiritually? And just right now, just ask yourself, how do you see yourself? What is it at this stage in your life that you are now equipped to understand yourself as? And let's be clear that being an old soul doesn't mean being an old fogey. We're done with that too. We are not old fogies. We have a vibrant, alive spirit because every day we feed it from our center. And it just seems like the better we understand the bigger picture, it's not as though we're trying to leave the earth, but just the opposite, that we are much more comfortable. We're so much more comfortable here on the planet because we're not chasing the bedazzlements of the baby and young souls anymore. But rather we are here, with a lot of love, and kindness and goodness, and we're very intelligent. We don't get fooled. As kind and as loving as we are, we're not doormats, but we are very kind and very loving and very understanding. We have stopped our entanglements with the dramas of baby and young souls. We've stopped that. Clearly realizing that they too are on their journey as we were on our journey in those earlier days. Try this paradox on. Try this paradox on. It's like we are living heaven on earth, but are no longer earthbound. May the power, may the power of today's teaching elevate the quality of your love. One last thing. Would you notice? Would you just notice how good you feel right now? Just notice how good you feel right now. Take a moment. Notice just how good you feel. On now, focus. Notice how good you feel right now, right this moment. And in so feeling, would you not say that it is indicative that you are a bigger picture soul spirit? It suits you. Okay. And the power of that larger energy. Let me invite you again to bring that smile into your heart and return to the breathing, feeling that energy within the breath, stemming from your heart, emanating from your sacred space. And allowing that heart smile to bring one that emerges on your face as well. And just gently breathing your eyes open. I mean, you can't help but be happy understanding the bigger picture and now living it each day. For I am an eternal being of light and love. Thus, only good can come to me, and only good can come from me. And we are eternal beings of light and love. Thus, only good can come to us, and only good can come from us. Namaste.